it's a body floating into the land. No, it's a body swimming out into the water. Now it's the land itself that's a body of land. It's the water itself that's a body of water.
I am passionate about working with elephants. Ever since I was 17, I've always helped fundraise and speak on their behalf to raise awareness of their well-being and intelligence. It was not until 2018, visiting Sri Lanka on a research project, that I witnessed large-scale tourism disrupting the wildlife and habitat of elephants. The tourists that were there were an essential part of the problem, and I soon realized that I too was adding to that pollution of their habitat. I thought to myself, am I part of the problem? What really is the impact of ecotourism, and how will this grow? In order to understand how our actions can have unintentional consequences on our environment, we need to understand what tourism is as an industry. But before diving deeper into the numbers, I want to explain my perspective and history helping elephants. My love of elephants and passion to explore the world led me to make this short documentary, Humans and Elephants. Ecotourism accounts for a small section of the tourism industry, but it is one of the most rapidly growing sectors. Elephants have become a popular species from ecotourist trips in Asia and Africa. Watching elephants is now an essential itinerary item in the wild for most trips in either Sri Lanka or Cambodia. In 2013, when I visited Southeast Asia myself, teaching geography and astronomy at an orphanage, I had the opportunity to visit elephant sanctuaries on my time off within Cambodia and Montreal. The biggest concern then was to avoid riding elephants. One had recently died in Cambodia from being too exhausted and collapsing, crushed under the tourist's weight. One quick search on Instagram and you'll see hundreds of photos from people still riding elephants. In making this short doc, I was intent on finding out the impact of tourists and whether that is positive or negative in the long term on elephant conservation. I needed to look beyond my own experience and hear from someone who knew more to help me learn. So I reached out to my friend Jessica Cords. I want to share her insights since she has a unique point of view.
Yeah, so I was in Laos from 2015 to 2016. I was 3 months there, 3 months away, and I was doing contract work with a volunteer organization that was working alongside the Elephant Conservation Center, known as the ECC in Sayobari, Laos, so in the northern region. Yeah, so my main role was with the volunteers through that volunteer organization, working through their orientation, making sure that they knew how to behave with the elephants, how to respect and respect their boundaries.
My visit to Sri Lanka to conduct a research was through the Sri Lanka Wildlife Conservation Society and IVHQ. I won a fully paid research trip out of over 5,000 applicants to the country in 2018 to conduct research into human and elephant relationships in order to understand how to mitigate conflict. During my research trip, I met with Chandima and Chaturanga.
I'm Chaturanga Dharmaratna. I'm a research scientist of Sri Lanka Wildlife Conservation Society.
Yeah, I'm Chandima Fernando, and I'm the ecologist and GIS specialist for the society.
Chandima designs and conducts all the field research programs for the Sri Lankan Wildlife Conservation Society. His dedication to conservation of wildlife has proved to be of great value to many volunteers who join him in the field. Chaturanga has worked as a research scientist since 2014. His interests include conservation ecology, animal behavior, and invasive species management. During my visit in Sri Lanka, though, I saw a different pressure on the species through environmental degradation. To me, it looked like their habitat was slowly being eroded. The increased international interest and business opportunities are overwhelming national parks and could have a long-term negative impact on the environment. In Sri Lanka, I witnessed one of the largest elephant gatherings on Earth. Between 2013 to 2018, my experience saw a shift in ecotourism through a more sinister lens of an overloaded conservation system. Hundreds of elephants migrate to the northern center part of Sri Lanka every year. Yet when I visited the Kaudula National Park, for every elephant I saw in the park, there were easily 2 jeeps filled with tourists. I came to an existential realization of being part of the problem of elephant habitat destruction. It is important to assess the issues behind elephant tourism, but worth needing first to know the relationship with humans where elephants live too. What is needed is a change towards payment for environmental services, otherwise known as PES. As a volunteer coordinator working with the ECC, Jessica was part of providing an ecotourist service, watching as volunteers came and went, contributing financially and physically to caring for the center. One major takeaway for me was when Jessica explained the lack of education of some tourists. I had asked if she felt that volunteers ever felt anything was missing.
I guess from the volunteers' perspective, what was missing for them sometimes was getting closer with the elephants, riding the elephants and bathing them. So for me, what that meant, what was missing was a bit more education on the tourists' part. We did in Laos see a lot of centers where people are riding the elephants in carriages, where people are bathing the elephants, and those kinds of activities were off limits at the center, being a sanctuary for rehabilitating the elephants. So it was a little bit disappointing when people were wanting that kind of experience.
What this tells us, people still don't know basic facts about the physical and psychological damage that riding elephants creates. Sri Lanka is well known for beautiful beaches, ancient temples, national parks, and friendly people. Lonely Planet named Sri Lanka the #1 destination for 2019. Visitors can expect to see all sorts of wildlife, from some of the largest mammals, like the elephant, to some of the biggest reptiles, like the Komodo dragon. The tourism industry has rapidly grown over the past 10 years, but has taken a serious hit with the Easter bombings and now COVID-19. Moving forward, how every country caters to international travel will be extremely crucial, and it's important to discuss the ethics of animal tourism, both for the animal habitats and local economies impacted by the tourism industry. But the role of the tourist is just half the story. The question remains, what about the relationship between local farmers and wild elephants? The story I was unraveling went beyond my limited experience, as the conflict with elephants to the Asian continent is not new. Since 1990 in Sri Lanka, the number of both elephant and human deaths has been rising, from 25 elephants in 1991 to 405 in 2019. Human deaths have also been rising as well, as the conflict reaches a record total of 121 deaths in 2019. These deaths are a tragic and preventable loss of life.
So you can understand, at one end we lose elephants, this many elephants, and at the same time we, like poor farmers, they lose their life. So that's the reason why a human-elephant conflict is the conservation and socio-economic issue in Sri Lanka.
So we are in Wasgamu area. So the Wasgamu National Park is just 3 to 5 kilometers from here. All the time the elephants come out from the national park and they move to the other forest areas around this park area. So this is the path they take.
If you see the situation in Wasgamu, so it's a very unique area because you have Knuckles mountain range, and then the Mahaveli river flows between a lot of protected areas. So this is a kind of prime habitat for elephants. But at the same time, you can see even new villages are being made. So there's a lot of human pressure on the elephant's habitat. So Wasgamu is one of the main areas where you have a lot of conflict. But this particular area, we are in a position to reduce the human-elephant conflict because of our work here.
It is important to note that elephants are a persistent pest to locals in rural areas, creating tension. A group of Cambodian researchers found that from 2003 to 2008, rice had the highest count of crop rates by elephants at 110 total recorded crop rates over the 5 years. Bananas were second highest at 67 crops. Third was cassava at 23, followed by sugarcane at 15, and papaya at 14 crops rated. The average raid per hectare, though, saw rice at the lowest and banana as the third highest. So, rice farmers have much less damage than banana farmers, who lose much more crop per hectare and are also losing their livelihood. The importance of these high-value crops being eaten by elephants in the night is important in understanding local frustrations around this pest that comes and destroys their economic liability. Farmers in rural areas are disproportionately impacted by roaming elephants since they are closer in proximity to protected areas and their land often overlaps elephant corridors.
As you can understand, everywhere farmers, they need more land to cultivate more. So because of that, elephants are losing their prime land. So then there's a conflict between farmers and elephants for land.
With our research work, so we try to investigate those movement patterns, and we identify a lot of elephant herds individually, the different herds. So with that data, we can say which time in the year they are moved from these corridors. So these data can be used to introduce some management plans to the community to minimize this conflict for well-being of human and the elephants.
Chaturanga and Chandima's work with the Sri Lankan Wildlife Conservation Society helps to reduce conflict between those local rural farmers and the wild elephants. The findings of their research have been adapted internationally, such as the successful Project Orange Elephant. They've been able to provide a reliable income to farmers in times of need across generations. What Chandima and Chaturanga have been able to create is a community-based natural resource management strategy. By working with the farmers, they are implementing a way to bring the local residents to peace with wild elephants through helping create sustainable income and education for Sri Lankans.
So that's why our work is very important. So that's why the human-elephant conflict is not that high compared to other areas in the country. What we do is like we work with the community. We give some benefits to the community through our conservation work without giving any benefits. It doesn't matter whether it's a financial benefit or socio-economic benefits, or there has to be a tangible benefits to the community through the conservation work. So that's what we've been doing. That's why we are in a position to say we have reduced the human-elephant conflict here.
So it's important to pay attention for environmental services, or PES, and it's a great step in the right direction. Yet, is that the only responsibility of tourists? Just make sure your money is going to sustainable business practices? Environmental services can be hard to pinpoint. Not everyone wants to do that research. Not everyone can stay for a week to plant trees if they only have 2 weeks vacation a year. So what do you do if you want to make a difference? I would say, look at reviews. Ask where the money goes. Jessica explains that there is clear evidence of the positive influence from the collective actions of visiting tourists. The international visitors work towards creating a better future through their labor, working with local staff too.
Yeah, I would say they collectively did have a long-term impact. Some of the projects that the volunteers worked on were building a new elephant hospital center, so a large structure where the elephants can come in for checks weekly when needed, or even daily if they're sick. So that's something that the volunteer dollars contributed to, as well as their labor, that is long-lasting. And some of the other projects that they worked on were banana tree planting and other minor construction projects. So in that way, from what I saw, there was a long-term volunteer contribution.
Learning about the work that the Elephant Conservation Center does and the synergy of volunteers over time was relieving, as I at time questioned what the impact of my presence was. I asked Jessica if her view had changed from the experience.
Yeah, it really did change the way that I look at ecotourism for myself, as well as a whole industry.
I share Jessica's sentiment. I too, after many years at different sanctuaries, wonder what is the best way to care for elephants. I have come to realize that it's our responsibility as foreigners to ensure our money is going towards sustainable and ethical treatment of animals.
You how to make the perfect vegan breakfast.
In Humans and Elephants, I have documented my own experience learning about elephant conservation efforts across Asia, from my beginnings to the viewpoints of Jessica working with the Elephant Conservation Center, and onto Chandima and Chatharanga's research work with the Sri Lanka Wildlife Conservation Society. We've all seen a small piece of a much greater narrative. Throughout my journey in the world of elephant tourism, I have learned to look deeper beyond what is on the surface. What I want people to take away is the understanding that we should all do our best to know where our money is going and making sure we are helping not just the economy as a tourist, but the environment and society too of the places we visit. There are immediate ways that you can help the elephant sanctuaries and organizations working to protect these beings and provide them with safety. As we live through the COVID-19 pandemic, wherever you are watching this, when travel returns, take time to make sure that you are paying for a sustainable way forward, internationally or even locally. I hope that Humans and Elephants has been able to help to see your relationship with wild animals like elephants in a new way. Thank you for watching Humans and Elephants. I hope that this film has stirred some emotion and care within you for why we all need to do more to help not just wild elephant populations, but other animal populations. And so if you are looking to find more ways that you can take action, please reach out to me as the filmmaker, Alex Leonard Media on Instagram, and I'm happy to send you additional resources. But you can also find this film on Facebook at Humans and Elephants Documentary, and there are immediate next steps that you can take today to be cognizant of helping towards protect wild elephant populations across Asia and Africa. My film focused very much within a few countries within Asia, but this issue absolutely goes beyond that. And so I appreciate the time you've given, and I want to thank you for caring about animals today. I hope that you enjoyed the film, and I look forward to hearing from you and hearing any thoughts that this has stirred.